The day her business failed, the world thought Evelyn had lost everything. But the only thing she truly lost was respect from the man she once called husband. In front of his entire family, he spat at her, laughing as the woman who once signed million-dollar contracts stood there in silence, her tears catching the chandelier light. To him, her failure proved what he'd always believed, that she was nothing without him. But what he didn't know was that the same gates his father opened every morning led to the empire she secretly built, the very company that now held his family's fate. But why did a successful woman like Evelyn marry into a family that once served hers? Why would a husband humiliate a woman who could destroy his world with a single call? And when the truth comes out that his father was her company's gateman, what will this broken wife do that will shake every man at that table? The laughter echoed across the grand dining hall like shards of glass. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his tie loosened, his arrogance glowing beneath the chandelier's warm light. The family dinner wasn't meant to become a spectacle, but he had made it one. Evelyn stood still, her face pale but composed, her champagne-colored dress catching reflections of the gold-lined walls. Every pair of eyes at the table watched as Ethan spat at her feet. "That's what failure tastes like," he sneered, his words slurred by expensive whiskey. "You thought you were a business genius, Evelyn? Turns out you're just another woman trying to play boss." The air turned heavy. His mother gasped. His brother's wife whispered something behind her glass, and his father, the quiet old man in a faded jacket, looked down at his plate. Evelyn's lips trembled, but she didn't break. Her eyes lifted to Ethan's face with quiet defiance, her voice steady but low. "You forget yourself, Ethan," he chuckled darkly. "No, Evelyn, you forgot who made you. You wouldn't have had that business without my contacts, my family name, my father's loyalty to your company." Her heart clenched at that word. Loyalty, because she knew what kind of loyalty his father truly had given. Every morning at 5 a.m., long before Ethan's world woke up, she had watched from her office window as Mr. Harris, the old gateman with the crooked cap, opened the company gate with a small smile and a limp in his walk. He had no idea she was watching, that the woman who signed his paycheck every month was his son's wife. She kept that truth hidden for 3 years, partly out of grace, partly out of love. But tonight, that love began to die. She took a slow step back, steadying herself. The humiliation burned, but something deeper sparked beneath it. Calm, cold, calculating. The flashbacks rolled like quiet thunder behind her eyes. She remembered the first day she met Ethan, 6 years ago, at a corporate conference in Dallas. He'd been charming, confident, with a smile that could convince a wall to move. Back then, she had just launched Avora Designs, a luxury interior firm that grew faster than anyone expected. Ethan, a mid-level executive, saw her as an opportunity he could shape, but she hadn't seen it. Love, as it often does, blurred reason. Within a year, they married, combining his family name and her rising brand, a merger of love and ambition, or so she thought. Now, as Ethan mocked her in front of his family, she saw it clearly. The charm had never been love. It was entitlement. The arrogance had never been strength. It was inheritance. And the humiliation wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. His father's eyes lifted briefly, catching hers. There was shame there, quiet and deep, the kind that only men who know too much carry. "Son," Mr. Harris began softly, "you've said enough." "Stay out of this, Dad," Ethan snapped. "You of all people should know what failure looks like." Silence. A fork dropped. Evelyn's heart tightened as she watched the old man shrink in his chair. That was the moment she decided Ethan would never understand mercy again. She turned to leave, but Ethan's voice followed. "You're walking out? Typical. Maybe you'll find another man to fund your next disaster." The word man hit differently now. She had seen the text messages, the late-night meetings, the lipstick stain on his collar, the perfume that wasn't hers. She knew about her, Madison Cole, his assistant, young, ambitious, and naive enough to think she was special. Evelyn paused at the doorway, her back still turned to him. She wiped the tear from her cheek and exhaled slowly. "Be careful what you say tonight, Ethan," she whispered, "because you might just choke on it later." He laughed mockingly, raising his glass. "Threats don't suit broke women." She didn't turn around. She didn't need to. The game had just changed, and he had no idea he was already playing on her board. Outside, the night air bit cold against her face. She clutched her handbag tighter and walked toward the sleek black SUV waiting near the gate. As it rolled past the security post, she looked out the window and saw him, Mr. Harris, standing in his faded uniform, saluting the vehicle. He didn't know she was in it. He didn't know the woman his son just spat on owned the very gate he was guarding. But soon, he would. And when that day came, every secret Ethan buried in arrogance would rise to bury him instead. 2 weeks after that humiliating dinner, Evelyn sat alone in her penthouse office, overlooking downtown Dallas. The skyline blinked with silver lights, and the hum of the city below carried the rhythm of quiet revenge. Her once lively company, Evora Designs, had weathered a scandal Ethan helped ignite. Leaked documents, sabotage contracts, and whispers planted in the industry. He wanted her destroyed publicly. He succeeded halfway. But Evelyn wasn't a woman who stayed broken. She rebuilt herself in silence. A file sat open on her desk, the blue glow of her laptop painting her face in soft light. Madison Cole's name flashed across the screen. Ethan's mistress. Her resume, social media posts, even the mortgage on her new condo. Evelyn had uncovered everything. Madison wasn't just Ethan's assistant anymore. She was his new lover, his new prize. Together, they'd used Evelyn's fall to build their own firm, Cole and Harris Interiors. Evelyn smiled faintly. The irony. He didn't even change his last name from hers. She leaned back, recalling the day Madison first entered her office 3 years ago. The girl had been nervous, eager to impress. Evelyn had mentored her, taught her how to pitch, how to negotiate, how to walk into a boardroom like she owned it. Madison had once called her the woman I want to be someday. Now she was sleeping with the man who spat at her mentor's feet. But Evelyn wasn't after apologies. She was after balance. Her phone buzzed. A message flashed from Samuel Okoro, head of security. Text, "Madam, we've confirmed Mr. Harris Sr. reports to the main gate at 5:30 a.m. daily. He's punctual." She replied with a single line. "Keep watching. Do not interfere." That night she couldn't sleep. The old memories returned, of Mr. Harris standing in the rain, smiling when she offered him tea, refusing to take more than his modest salary. He'd never known the woman behind the tinted glass of the black SUV was the CEO who owned his paycheck. She'd chosen not to reveal it out of respect for Ethan, to protect the dignity of a humble man who served faithfully. But now that silence felt like betrayal, to herself. Evelyn poured a glass of water and stared at her reflection. "You gave too much grace," she murmured. "Now let him taste truth." The next morning, she visited Cole & Harris Interiors under the guise of a client. Her disguise was subtle. Dark glasses, hair in a bun, a tailored cream suit that masked familiarity. She waited in the lobby, surrounded by minimalist decor and a receptionist who looked too young to know the history written in the marble beneath her heels. "Ms. Cole will see you now," the receptionist said. Madison appeared from her glass office, her smile wide and confident, the kind of confidence Evelyn had once worn. "Good morning, I'm Madison Cole," she said cheerfully. Evelyn extended her hand, her voice steady. "And I'm Mrs. Knight. My husband and I are expanding our chain of luxury spas across the state. We're looking for a design firm that understands discretion." Madison's eyes lit up. "Oh, you've come to the right place. We specialize in high-end modern luxury, minimalist lines, curated art, and elegant understatement." Evelyn watched her, almost admiring her performance. The same tone, the same poise. She trained her too well. But when Madison excused herself to get Ethan, Evelyn's pulse slowed. The door opened, and there he was, Ethan Harris in a navy suit, smug as ever. He didn't recognize her instantly. Time, pain, and precision had changed her face. But when she removed her glasses, his smile faltered. Evelyn?" he stammered. Madison froze mid-step. Evelyn smiled softly. It's Mrs. Night now. She placed a folder on the desk. I'm here on business, but before we talk about contracts, I want to congratulate you both on this new venture. It's bold, using my former designs as your foundation. Ethan's jaw tightened. You can't prove— Oh, I can, she interrupted. Every plan you've copied still carries Evora's digital watermark. My attorneys will handle that. She turned her gaze to Madison, whose voice broke. Evelyn, I didn't mean for— Don't, Evelyn said sharply, her tone calm but lethal. You meant every word when you whispered in his ear that I was finished. Ethan tried to regain control. You came here to gloat? You're still bitter? Evelyn smiled again, gentle, almost pitying. No, Ethan, I came to make you an offer. A very lucrative one, but only if you agree to my terms. He frowned. What terms? She leaned forward. You'll sell me Cole & Harris Interiors. Entirely. Your assets, your client list, your name. You'll walk away with enough to pay your mistress's rent for 6 months. After that, you'll have nothing. Madison's breath caught. You can't do that. Oh, I can, Evelyn whispered. And when your investors find out you built your firm on stolen designs and leaked contracts from your wife's company, they'll walk faster than you can blink. Ethan's confidence cracked. What do you want from me? Evelyn gathered her folder, stood tall, and said softly, Nothing. You already gave me everything the day you spat in my face. This is just repayment. She turned to leave but paused at the door. By the way, Ethan, does your father still work at the gate on Maple Avenue? He blinked. How do you know that? Evelyn smiled faintly. Let's just say, I've always known who opened my gates. As she walked out, Madison's voice trembled. What does she mean by that? Ethan didn't answer. He couldn't. The chill running down his spine told him he was finally standing outside the house of a woman who had already begun building his downfall brick by brick. 3 days later, Dallas glowed beneath a humid summer evening. The streets pulsed with the sound of success. People laughing outside rooftop bars, cars gliding past glass towers. But inside the old Harris mansion, tension was thick enough to choke on. Ethan sat in the living room, drink in hand, the glow from the TV flickering over his face. The news was reporting Evora Design's surprise comeback, a new deal with the state's biggest luxury resort chain. Evelyn's name filled the air again, this time wrapped in praise and power. He turned off the TV. The silence mocked him. Madison entered, still in her work dress, her expression brittle. They're pulling out, she said flatly. Our investors just called. They said Evelyn threatened to sue for intellectual theft. Ethan exhaled slowly. She wouldn't dare. She's bluffing. Madison threw a folder onto the table. She already filed the injunction, Ethan. We can't take new clients until the case clears. For the first time, he looked unsure. His once calm arrogance now showed cracks, the kind that come when a man realizes the walls around him are closing in. Damn it, Madison! This was supposed to be our fresh start. Madison crossed her arms. Our? You mean your revenge on your ex-wife? I just followed you into this mess. The words stung, but before he could respond, the doorbell rang. He opened the door and froze. Standing there, framed by the golden porch light, was Evelyn. No entourage, no fury, just quiet authority in a white suit and black heels. Behind her was a sleek, black Maybach idling on the curb. Evening, Ethan, she said softly. I thought it was time we talked. Privately. Madison stiffened. You're not coming in. Evelyn's eyes cut to her, calm but icy. Don't worry, dear. I'm not here for you. Not yet. Ethan gestured reluctantly. Make it quick. She stepped inside, her heels clicking against the polished floor she once helped choose. Her eyes lingered on the photos, the wedding portrait, the smiling family gatherings, and the latest one of Ethan and Madison standing in front of their new office. She stopped at it, tilted her head, and smiled faintly. Nice frame. You've always liked expensive glass. Ethan set his drink down. What do you want, Evelyn? She turned toward him. Do you remember the night of our dinner? When you spat at me? He didn't answer. I told you then, she continued, her tone soft but cutting, you might choke on your words one day, and that day has come. Madison tried to intervene. Evelyn, please. Evelyn raised a hand. You should sit, Madison. What I'm about to say will involve your business partner. The younger woman hesitated, then slowly sat. Evelyn turned to Ethan. Your father, Mr. Harris, you've mocked him your entire life, called him old, called him weak. Even told your friends he's the reason you wanted to marry Rich. Ethan frowned. What's your point? Evelyn stepped closer. My point is, your father has worked for me for 10 years, as my gatekeeper, my company's longest-serving staff. The same man you belittled opens my gates every morning. The silence that followed felt unreal. Ethan blinked, as if the air itself betrayed him. You're lying. She reached into her purse and dropped a small envelope on the table. Photos slid out. Mr. Harris in uniform at the Evora compound, smiling beside her security chief, holding the badge that bore Evora Design Security Division. Ethan's hand shook as he picked one up. He never told me. Because he didn't know, Evelyn said gently. I never told him. Out of respect for you. I didn't want to embarrass you. But you embarrassed yourself instead. Madison's voice was small. Oh my God! Evelyn's calm deepened. I kept silent while you mocked me, while you betrayed me, while you called your own father a burden. But now the same man you spit on, figuratively and literally, has been working at the gate of the empire his son tried to destroy. Ethan's throat tightened. Why are you doing this? She tilted her head slightly. You see, Ethan, I learned something powerful. Revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it simply shows people who they really are. She turned toward Madison, her tone softening but her words sharp. And you, Madison, you were like a daughter to me. You sat in my meetings, learned my trade secrets, called me mentor, but you chose greed over gratitude. Madison's eyes filled with tears. Evelyn, I was confused. No, Evelyn interrupted. You were ambitious. But you'll learn there's a difference between rising and stealing wings. She picked up her bag, walked toward the door, then stopped. By tomorrow morning, my lawyers will finalize the acquisition of Cole and Harris Interiors. You'll both sign willingly, or I'll make sure neither of you can do business in this city again. Every investor, every supplier, every client, they'll know exactly who you are. Ethan clenched his fists. You can't buy my company. Evelyn smiled faintly. I already did. Your accountant called this afternoon. It seems the firm's debt was larger than you admitted. I bought it from under you. The color drained from his face. Madison gasped. Evelyn gave a small, cold smile. Congratulations, Ethan. You now work for me. Just like your father. She left them standing in stunned silence. Outside, she paused at the gate, where the old man stood, tired but still proud. Good evening, ma'am, he said politely, not realizing who she truly was. Evelyn's voice softened. Good evening, Mr. Harris. Thank you for your service. You've done more for me than you know. She got into her car, the door closing with quiet finality. Inside, she finally let her mask slip. Tears falling not from weakness, but from release. The game wasn't over yet. The world had seen Ethan's arrogance. But soon they'd witness his collapse. Because tomorrow she wouldn't just take his company, she'd take back her name. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the marble floors of Evora Design's headquarters, washing the glass walls in gold. Reporters gathered outside, cameras flashing, microphones raised. The city was buzzing about the shocking acquisition. Headlines read, Evora Designs acquires Cole and Harris Interiors in multi-million-dollar buyout. Ex-wife reclaims, thrown after brutal betrayal. Inside the boardroom, Evelyn sat at the head of the long oak table, calm, poised, untouchable. Around her sat lawyers, executives, and a few familiar faces from her old team. Her empire, once wounded, now pulsed with fresh life. She heard the doors open. Ethan and Madison walked in. He looked hollow, his once polished confidence stripped down to nerves and exhaustion. Madison's eyes were swollen from crying. They both knew this meeting wasn't about negotiation anymore. It was surrender. Please, Madison whispered, her voice trembling. You don't have to do this. We'll walk away. We won't bother you again. Evelyn's eyes lifted from the documents. You'll sign the transfer first. Ethan dropped into the chair opposite her, glaring. You're enjoying this, aren't you? She smiled faintly. No, Ethan. I'm ending it. A moment of silence. Papers slid across the table. He signed. His name, once heavy with pride, looked small and broken on the page. When Madison hesitated, Evelyn leaned in. You wanted to live my life, didn't you, Madison? This is what it feels like. Power costs blood. Go ahead, sign yours. Madison's hand shook as she scrawled her name. Evelyn nodded to her lawyer. File it immediately. As the lawyer left, she stood, her eyes never leaving Ethan. There's one more thing. Ethan frowned. What now? Evelyn turned on the large screen behind her. The footage began to play. Security camera recordings from her old office, showing Madison sneaking in after hours, copying files from her laptop, and sending them to Ethan. Then clips from the family dinner, secretly recorded from her phone. The moment he spat at her, the laughter, the silence afterward. Ethan's face turned pale. Madison covered her mouth in horror. This, Evelyn said softly, is what humiliation looks like when it's documented. I could ruin you both in an hour, but I won't. Ethan blinked, confused. You won't. No, she said, her tone shifting. Lower, more deliberate. Because people like you destroy yourselves. I don't need to help you fall. I just have to take away the ladder. She walked to the window, gazing out at the skyline. You once said I was nothing without you. Funny how life works. Without you, I became more than I ever imagined. Without me, you lost everything. Ethan stood, bitterness rising. You think this makes you strong? You think this makes you noble? She turned, meeting his eyes. No, Ethan, it makes me free. Her assistant stepped into the room. Ma'am, the press is waiting. Evelyn gathered her files and walked past him. At the door, she paused. By the way, your father stopped by this morning. I offered him a retirement plan. Full pension, company house, and medical care for life. He cried. He said his son never gave him that kind of kindness. Ethan froze, his voice cracked. You did that? She looked back one last time. Someone had to show him what real success looks like. Then she left. Outside, the cameras erupted as she stepped into the sunlight. Mrs. Carter, is it true you're taking full control of the merged company? Someone shouted. Evelyn smiled for the first time in months. A genuine, peaceful smile. No, she said, her voice calm. I'm restoring what was mine all along. The flashes went wild. Across town, Ethan sat alone in his empty office, the silence deafening. Madison packed her things quietly, unable to meet his eyes. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. She was right. You destroy everything you touch. He didn't stop her. He couldn't. The weight of what he'd done, to his wife, his father, himself, finally sank in. Meanwhile, Evelyn returned home to her quiet penthouse overlooking the city. She removed her heels, stood by the window, and watched the world she'd rebuilt unfold beneath her. The air was lighter now. Her phone buzzed. A message from Samuel, her security chief. Mr. Harris Sr. sends his gratitude. He said he's proud of you, ma'am. Evelyn smiled faintly. Tell him I'm proud of him, too. She looked at her reflection in the glass. The same woman who once stood humiliated under the same chandelier, now radiant with quiet strength. She whispered to herself, you can take everything from a woman, her name, her pride, her peace. But if you underestimate her silence, she'll come back owning the ground you stand on. The city lights flickered like applause below. And somewhere in that golden reflection, Evelyn finally let go. Not of revenge, but of the pain that once fed it. Her empire had risen from ashes, not because she wanted to destroy him, but because she learned the one truth Ethan never did. Power isn't what you take back. It's what you become when they think you're done. The elevator chimed behind her. Her lawyer stepped in quietly. It's done, ma'am. Everything is in your name. Evelyn turned from the window, her voice calm, steady, final. Then close the line, James. I have nothing left to prove. The door closed. The skyline glowed brighter. And for the first time, Evelyn Carter, The woman who lost everything felt the one thing she'd never known before: peace.